understand that because it's situation.
You're live right now.
Hey, we're live.
Process.
I don't even look at it.
Next on teaching white people how to pop and lock.
Pop and lock.
Welcome in to Bridging Civil Tension, the show where we feel it's better to build a bridge than to burn one down. And man, did we try to set one on fire the last show. But here it is. Phil Wallace, father, son, holy cow. He's a great entrepreneur, absolutely author, award-winning, #1 super guy, like Hong Kong Fooey.
I'm friends with you guys.
That's it. And of course, a guy to his right, your left is Scott Giles. Scott, of course,
Good
owner,
morning.
entrepreneur extraordinaire, father, grandpa, husband, good guy all around. And of course, runs, Reese's Pautique here, right? Barkery and Pautique. It's a healthy pet food place for your pets.
Yeah, you can good healthy pet food and treats and collars and leashes, all that good stuff. But yeah, we do definitely key on feeding them better, higher quality food than what you pick up at other places for sure.
Yep.
So, but
and a great nephew, Jan says, absolutely. And of course, me, I'm Kent, owner, CFO, president of DDOE, which is the mother's company for 216 The Net radio station. And now you'll see it flash up behind Phil a couple times.
Logo.
You'll see it up in the corner right there.
There it is.
And that's 216 Creator Studios. So it's our new logo for the Creator Studios. Really, really cool. When it comes up, I'll point it out. You can see it really nice.
I'll let you know. It's got different colors too.
And so just a lot of good stuff going on right here. But what I wanted, hey, Sal, SG3, tune in tomorrow for WrestleMania. The rejects are going to be going live for like 4 hours. It'll be great. Yeah, we'll and then they're going to do it on Sunday as well.
Did they go see the midget wrestling at the Vixen?
No, because you didn't get us any
I can't
VIPs.
get any tickets.
Yeah,
I have
you
no
can.
pull over there.
Oh, you own the place.
Yeah, partially.
You're the guy,
have
but
no
your boss
pull.
hog.
You said midget wrestling at the Vixen?
They had midget wrestling Monday, free midget wrestling at the Vixen Monday.
We
night.
did. Sal and
I'm
I
like-
would have gone, but you didn't.
I'm
get
like,
us
I
tickets.
don't know if I want to get involved in that one. There's just
No.
too many ways that could go bad.
So, listen, we talked a little bit about it on the last show, The Grounds. But what's really a huge divide and a rip is, or quote unquote, these school shootings, right? And I am infuriated with these school shootings because of all the idiocracy. There it is. Look at that. That's nice, huh?
Oh.
It's subliminal too. When you see it, you see it. If you know, you know.
Right.
So,
YKYK with the kids hashtag.
right? So my frustration is somebody went off their rocker and killed babies, 9-year-old kids.
Talking the lady who broke in the Christian school.
Yeah, right. 9-year-old kids. Okay, and what happens is here in America, what happens is we tear it into a D or an R and an issue on guns. And I will tell you, as we talked about on the last show, I'm not afraid of guns. The gun's not the issue to me.
Right, it's the person holding the gun.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know where the programming has gone wrong in America. And this has happened far too often, right? Whether it's staged, whether it's whatever, right? I don't know, right? I really don't know. I don't know where the programming has gone to say, listen, Phil, you're feeling bad. Why don't you arm yourself and run into a school and just start blasting people, or a mall, or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? I don't. Where did we? What? Right. I'm at a loss for words because and again, we don't even go, oh my God, the poor families. This is somebody taking your son. He's how old? 8. He's going to school thinking, I can't wait for recess to play kickball or soccer or whatever they play now, right? I played Foursquare when I was his age.
Minecraft's what the kids play.
Okay, Minecraft. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So he's like, oh, sweet.
That's not even an energetic game, is it?
No.
That's what I was going to say. No physical activity whatsoever.
No.
So I'm trying to figure out where did we go wrong?
Well, I mean, you could talk all day long about where we went wrong, but I mean, the comment that you made, right, about you're not afraid of guns.
Yeah, I'm not.
Right. Well, and we talked about this earlier. I've got a gun sitting on my front porch. It's never killed anybody. Right. Until I decide to stand up to it. It's the people behind the gun.
And what's your address?
Yeah. But it's the people, right. It's the people behind the gun that, for whatever reason, I don't want to say lack of education or just situations. I mean, things change. I don't fear guns. I fear the people that own them. Right. And that's where the problem comes in. These people, and, they try to vet you and go through and make sure that you're, a good, upstanding citizen, to own a gun. But I mean, you can't, they have little tests and stuff that come across as far as you're taking kind of like mental tests to make sure that you're
that was my next question.
Right. When you get a gun, I mean, now it's getting more and more where you actually have to take tests, not a personality test, but just basic questions where they can kind of delineate if you're on the edge or, you know what I mean?
Word.
Oh, thank you. I have those
right on his game today.
After I get my ass whipped with Kent all morning.
Delineate a little bit.
But so it's the people behind the gun that you don't know the circumstances of why they're at that point and what they're doing, and that's the hardest part, because we do have the right to own and bear guns. We don't have the right to shoot people and go off on people because we're having a bad week, a bad day, a bad month, a bad year, a bad family, whatever. Right. You can't control that. What the government's trying to do is control that you can get access to guns. Well, they'll never be able to do that, because if you really want a gun and do something stupid, you can pick it up off the black market, right? I mean, so that's not the issue.
You can print them now.
You can print them now. Shit, right. I mean, you could build one yourself too. On a digital printers, you can print out a gun in like 4 hours. It's crazy. You just need to make a firing pin. That's really all it comes down to. But so it just comes down to the people and their education and their control and their stability or lack thereof stability. I mean, what would possess somebody to want to go in and take out 9 and 10-year-old kids? They've done nothing to you. I mean, if anything, you want to take out the older people, right?
That's what I would say. Like, it's not even the person who probably attacked or insulted or hurt. Like, these are kids.
Right. A 9-year-old telling you an idiot or something like that. I wouldn't hold it against them.
Obviously,
I don't know.
A teenager, so you didn't know these 9-year-olds.
Right.
Or any of the elementary school kids that are there, probably, right? Got a private school.
How old was the
teenager?
The shooter was a teenager?
I thought she was 20s, 25.
Okay, so maybe 20s. Yeah, they're all kids to me.
Right.
Well, right.
But why? Again, that's not the person who insulted you. It's not the person who hurt you. What makes you go there? Obviously, there's no justified way to handle that, right? I don't care which direction you go to shoot. Don't do that. However, that wouldn't be an option at all. She was 28.
28.
Oh, it was in Nashville. It was closer.
So that's a grown-ass woman.
Closer where my
right.
lives.
That's a grown-ass woman, man.
Right. I mean, Jan definitely puts it on, in the perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
No, Jan's in Nashville. Damn.
It is a mental issue, Right. I mean, they try to, like I said, vet or make sure that when you're giving someone the opportunity to, carry a gun or have a license to carry a gun or buy a gun,
right.
They're trying to weed out the possible issues and people and problems, but mental issue could be here one day, gone the next day, or you're not here today and here the day. But I mean, what issue do you have that you want to kill young kids?
I can't think of one.
Right. I mean, no matter what you do in this world, I just don't see how you could ever come to an ending in that result. I'm pissed off the world because whatever happened to me, I'm going to shoot some young children.
It's like a Evanston-ish type area.
Wow.
So
which is Nashville?
We're that area
where the shooting was.
Oh, okay.
So you wouldn't think that that's going to not quite a Crystal Lake, because it's a little bit more diverse, but in that area it's not where you would be like, let me be careful if I walk down the street by myself. You feel safe in that area. And so, like you're saying, to be at that place where you're like, okay, I would send Elijah to school, because I'm in a good area.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a place where I don't have to worry about crime and all that stuff. And then that happens. So then the pushback is, do they need like the automatic weapons? For like, I hear like the gun enthusiasts and I hear the anti-gun enthusiasts, and someone's like, okay, you can have a handgun. I understand that, or a shotgun, protect your home. Why do you need an automatic rifle?
Well, technically, do you need an automatic rifle? No. Is it nice to have? Yes. But there's only certain situations. It's like having an AK-47, right? What do you really have it for? I mean, hunting and target shooting. Other than that, there's really no need to have it. I mean,
with an AK-47.
there's people that do. There's
There's
people that do. I mean, especially if you're shooting like,
The
you know,
Viet
big.
Cong.
Well, if you're shooting big game, you know, if you're shooting bears and stuff like that from a distance, I mean, it's not something like a shotgun where you're shooting a deer, you know, or, you know,
You
pheasant.
don't really
or,
shoot a deer with a shotgun.
well, it's a
What's
rifle.
that?
They'll use like a 308 or
Let me educate you on the ways.
yeah, they'll use like a 308 or a 224, you know, but an AK-47, it's not a necessary. That's a choice.
Did you see that? There's a video of the congressman, and he's in like in the room with everybody, and he goes, you know, AR rifle. He's like, you know why you don't hunt with an AR? Because there's nothing left. If you shoot a deer with an AR, he's like, there's nothing left. These people are taking those rifles and going into schools. There's nothing left.
Well, I'm not going to get into the debate. I mean, it depends on what type of ammunition you're using, right?
Definitely
Right.
makes a difference.
Right,
A slug versus
right,
a
right.
spread. But
So anyway,
in an AK, though, you have
So-
no choice. An AK is just one solid.
so
bullet.
I'm
That's it.
gonna go back to Jan and let's talk. She says it's a mental issue. Yeah, I can't disagree. I don't understand. I'd swerve to hit if a squirrel runs out in front of me. I don't if it's a bird because I just don't like birds. That's my phobia. You don't like spiders. I don't like
That's
birds.
your choice.
Right. So I just tell you, I won't slow down for a bird, a squirrel, a chipmunk, a rabbit. Whoa, you know. You listen like, oh shoot, right? So I don't like killing. I don't like killing anything. Have I been hunting? Yes. Have I killed a grouse? Yes. Right. But I'm not a big hunter. I don't own guns. You have your right to own a gun. It's my right to not.
Right.
I decide not to. That's me, right? But if we go back to I'm glad you brought it up, the mental issue, right? Thanks, Bree. Love you for that. Yep. Listen, I'm going to say something that's probably going to upset a lot of people who are listening. That's a cop out. You understand that?
The middle side?
The mental side. Okay. And
It's a cop out from her comment or from that
just
person?
from society.
From society. Okay.
Oh my gosh. We need to,
She's not wrong, but he's saying that for society.
right.
correct.
Well, it's a justification.
Yeah.
It's a justification.
I agree with you. There's some wires that are unconnected or crossed. If you just have the capacity to go, I'm going to go kill babies today.
Right.
That's for 2 espressos. You know what? We're gonna look
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I only got
When's
one.
recess?
You're toast.
Okay. And the reason that I say that that's a cop out is because everybody's mental issue is different, and what do you that's hard to control or manage. Okay. Jan, I'm 53. I grew up in a time and in Iowa where there were shotguns hanging in the back of trucks, and nobody ever thought of walking into this unless it was show and tell, and you were showing your new deer rifle, right? I mean, that's the way I grew up. So somewhere the programming in America said, right? So the first one that I can remember, it's not the first one ever, but the first one I can remember is Columbine. Okay. And since then it's every other month, or it's every,
Right. And now it's something that's almost
Okay.
expected,
and
which is sad.
that's what I'm saying. So the programming, where did the programming go wrong that in the 70s and 80s, show up with it in your truck? You're fine.
That's okay as long as it stays in the truck.
Right now you have a shotgun laid up in your back truck, especially you. SWAT's on you, especially you.
I have the fish.
Yeah, right.
Christian symbol.
The Christian symbol. So
That's
Christian
like
symbol.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, so you mean
Right.
well because you believe in God.
So
You're
I-
not going to kill somebody, which is so fun. That association is
Yes.
just so wrong.
and
You
that's
know what I mean?
And I agree with Bria. It's really what I'm trying to say is they shouldn't get a pass
Right.
for having mental issues. You're right. We all have mental
Well,
issues.
it's a justification is what they're using it. Oh, they had a mental issue. You're justifying it.
And
Why do they have a mental issue?
go for it. That was a deep breath. You ready?
I hate to be that guy.
All right, let's go.
To be that guy.
But there's a role that I played on this show for quite some time.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to play it again.
Yes, sir.
Ever notice who it is that has the mental issue after a shooting?
Cops.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just angry.
That's right.
It's you guys who are mentally unwell, unstable, emotionally
Which is
disturbed.
sad. Which is sad because you do bring that up, and that is how people are perceiving things.
No. I'm saying in the article, when they report so-and-so was mentally ill, so-and-so was emotionally disturbed, Billy was
Phil was just
Phil
an
was
angry
this
motherfucker.
angry black dude. He was
Hoodie.
predetermined, and here's his picture of him in 2004 with the do-rag. But you guys was unwell. And our hearts go out to Scott for shooting us.
Right. And that's unfortunate because that is the way that it's being played out. But a lot of Americans have allowed that narrative to become part of it, right? Because of the ignorance. Right. They don't look into it. It's just a play. It's really just a play on words. You being angry is also a mental issue. Right.
It would be.
It's
But
a
that's
mental
not-
issue,
but
but how
that's
they
not
but how they present it to everybody, right, is the big thing. And it's also how everyone's perceiving it, right? Because your perception is going to become reality. Oh, he was an angry black man. Well, Kent is just a typical American white guy that, he's got some mental issues. He has anger issues.
Again,
Right. So I mean, that just made it much softer.
Again, that's where I go back to programming. That's
Right.
why I'm saying the word programming. Somewhere as a society, we were programmed,
Right.
angry, mental. Right? Right?
in every day, every
so-
way, shape, and form.
And now we go, oh. So at least this one, I have heard more outcry for the kids
Okay.
but again, everybody gets on their grandstand and waves their elephant or donkey and says, "Ooh!" Okay, that's listen. And here's what, again, we can build a bridge on this, but here's quit saying shit and do it. You wave a flag to get votes, then go do it.
Right.
Hey, we should. No, just do it. I don't understand how there's a division here. Somebody walked in someplace and literally murdered babies.
Well, they just did it.
Right? At some point, the people who we have elected, or the people, have to go, I'm kind of tired of this.
Right. So I'm just
Right? And I will say this, and again, here's the bottom line. There's no good answer. Well, you know what? Lock it down and put. So you want to create my child's education
right.
as a prison.
Right. Which is so
What?
wrong.
What? No, you get.
We want to protect them.
No. What you're saying is lock them down, and you're going to have people guard them. So now you're programming my kids to go, prison's the only place you're going to be safe. Prison's the only place you're going to be safe. Right? Where I have gone to, I've gone down to the Emmett Till Academy. Right? Now, again, I'm not the typical person who's there. Right? I went there to teach about checking accounts and things like that. And mom's sitting in class because Billy, Shaniqua, or right. So this right is, and I'm like, why? This is bring your mom to school. No, I come every day so that I make sure he gets here safe and gets home safe. And that don't happen here in McHenry.
That you know of.
It don't happen here in McHenry.
So if like metal detectors and arms guards would like traumatically mess up kids in Woodstock, why is it fine for Westinghouse?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, so their whole, I think
Again,
the whole
what are
reason
we programming?
right. Well, the whole reason they started doing it down in because that obviously started down in Chicago. They're trying to keep the guns and crap out of the school. right? But what they're doing is now they're making you a prisoner inside the school because of the few bad eggs.
I don't think anybody's busting in the Westinghouse to shoot it up.
Yeah. So Jerry,
I don't even
absolutely
Westinghouse.
West side of Chicago.
Right. No, they're probably trying to bust out. So
that's Jerry says it, and thanks for tuning in, Jerry. Absolutely love you, brother. Agree with wires being crossed, but also can go back to lifestyle issues, past parenting, non-addressing problems in the past. Yes. And again, we're going to go back to that programming. I agree. Listen, my kids, my son's 28. He steps across the line today in my house. He still gets the red spoon. You understand what I'm saying? I got then a wooden spoon. It's a plastic one.
Right. It's your, but it's your house. It's your
my
rules.
13-year-old, man. My dogs know the red spoon comes out. I'm under the couch. Right. Not under the couch. Kind of big dogs. But anyway, right. They're like, oh, crap. And they're going to leave because the red spoon comes out. They know that's the law. And yeah, we have created a society where absent for whatever reason.
Well, I mean, you talk about programming though, but I don't see. I mean, I guess I'm trying to understand what you mean by their programming. Are you saying they're being programmed, saying it's okay to go into schools and kill people?
Yeah. Why would it happen? You were programmed that it wasn't. It didn't happen when you were a kid, did it?
That we know of.
Right.
I mean, but it's not to the extent, it's become more readily accepted today because, everyone has a mental issue, so it's okay.
Listen, bro.
Back then it wasn't okay because more so when we grew up, it was more eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, right? You did something like that, you take them out. Well, now people are afraid to do that because, let's just say that a parent saw this lady, or I don't even if it was a girl or guy, right? And killed them.
They weren't sure either. That's part of the issue.
Right. But then that person that killed them is going to end up getting sued, even though they did society, even though they might have been doing society a favor. Right. That person that killed that person that was the threat or already killed somebody is probably going to get in major trouble themselves for doing what really should have been done. This because they're programmed that every life matters.
This shooter had a manifesto. Right. I need to die, blah, 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 blah. Right? They found the manifesto. Okay. And I'm going to go back to what Jerry said. I don't care how old you are. 28. I got a 28-year-old. This girl was 28, right? Listen, you in my house. I got the right to go through your shit because it's my house. Right. I'm involved, right? I'm involved. My kids, I'm in their business. Why? Because they're my kids. Now, listen, I'm not in my son's business out in his house because that's his house.
But in your house.
But in my house, understand, right? I'm not involved in Ashley's business at her house because that's her house. But you're in my house. I don't care. I'll get the red spoon out, right? Because that's it.
That's your house and it's your rules.
That's the programming that I have taught my children. Okay. Now, the other is, yes, I think we as a society have run away from understanding what a strong family is, right? So I'm going to pick on Phil for a minute. One of the best dads that I know. Takes a ton of time to spend with his son virtually or in person. Not a lot of people do that, right? And not his fault that they moved to Texas, right? So he has to play that game. But I can tell you,
adapt to what his situation.
But I can tell you, he takes time. I haven't seen him, I haven't heard him, but knowing Phil, he takes time with him. He tells him what's right and wrong, teaches lessons, and he's down there all the time.
Our question is that what kings do?
There you go.
Is that what kings do? If he's like getting an attitude or something like that, is that how kings behave?
Yep.
Is that how you set him at?
And he'll be like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And it's
and that's the way to do it. But that's that program.
Right. For me though, as kids, because I mean, I'm pretty much a very hands-on father like you. I mean, I still am. My kids are grown, but I'm still there for them all the time. Right. But you raise them with certain expectations. Right. Or you raise them with certain morals and values and stuff like that. And you would hope and expect them to follow them for obvious reasons. Right. And when they don't, we give them, can't use the red spoon to remind them, hey, this is my rules. These are my expectations.
Well, I don't need to raise my voice. You just pull that baby up.
Right. But you know what I mean? So they know.
Eddie Murphy's mom had a shoe.
They know what's going to happen. They know what to expect. Right. So there's certain ways that you're going to act in your house versus acting in their house. Right. And just same with society. There's certain ways that you can act that's acceptable, not acceptable. Right. It's becoming more acceptable for somebody to come in and shoot somebody up and be like, well, they got mental issues or they're angry. Doesn't matter. They both fucking shot somebody.
See that new logo?
Yeah, that's great. You're driving me nuts. I don't know if I'm going to pass out today or not.
So, hey,
But
Jerry,
you know what I mean?
Jerry says programmed not to accept accountability for doing something that crosses the line. Not necessarily for killing people, but all the things along the way not being addressed and held. I agree. And this guy knows that. I mean, he's a referee.
Right.
he gets it. He gets it. Yeah. And Jan says that's correct. Her family did not know she had 3 more guns in her room. How?
So with that being said, with your kids, do you go through like your kids' rooms and make sure that they don't have, drugs or guns or, are you sifting through your kids' room to make sure that they're the good kid that you trained or taught them to be? Or do you give them the opportunity?
Yeah, I walk down. I'll go in and collect. She has the whole basement and like her little pad. I walk my ass down there and go, all right, what are you hiding? What?
Oh, really?
Yeah, hell yeah. I know if my kid's lying or not. What are you hiding?
You know her tells?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't, I'm nothing. Bullshit. Get it.
Right.
Your little sister told me. All right. Right?
You have those conversations.
Right.
You because I'm present in her life, right?
Right.
And yet,
it's all meant for good reasons.
So what happens is she's taking her clinicals right now for EMT. She was there yesterday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. in the emergency room at NIMSI. And she come home, first thing, come right up to my room. Alice and I in the bed. Right? At 10:15, 10:20. I almost got hit by an inmate right now. What? Wait, what? I take my CPAP up. What? Right? And
the visual on that one just kills me.
Drowning?
No,
Yeah,
right? It's a CPAP, right? And
The nose pillow. It
and you
should
get
be
old.
that
You
encompassing.
get old. It happens,
All
right?
right.
And so then she tells this story about the inmate was there and they needed to put an IV in the inmate, whatnot. His feet were chained to the bed, and there's 2 sheriffs in there, and they go to get close. The guy takes a swing at her. And I thought to myself, that poor bastard don't know what he's
Right,
doing.
he
First of all,
that's exactly
That's
But you
that's
know
the
what?
wrong-
She'd want to, but she wouldn't in the situation.
that's the wrong sister to play
Right,
with,
but she'd be. But think
Right.
about that. The
Scuba
comment
Steve, right?
the comment you just made is a perfect one, right? Like realistically, this guy takes a swing
Right.
at her. She should be.
But here's the deal. Here's
if
the
she
deal.
takes a swing back at him, she gonna get fired.
Here's the deal. The deal is because I'm in my kid's business all the time. The first thing she do when she get home, come and tell us about the day.
Which is great. She's comfortable.
You understand what I'm
She's
saying?
Comfortable.
That's the programming that Jerry's saying isn't happening.
So and I've seen this with like the lack of accountability.
Yeah.
So my question to you, Kent, and you as well, Scott, is they've said that kids do stuff like this for fame, but also if I know I've watched a lot of other mass shooters get compassion or
Yes.
get attaboys, and then they get to take pictures after
Yes.
they shoot in Kenosha, wherever they are. Then I know that if I do something like that, the world will feel compassionate for me, and maybe they'll understand my story.
Correct.
And finally, I can be heard because we're being more sympathetic to a mass shooter than a drug dealer or whatever the case may be. I get more compassion being shooting kids than if I get choked by an officer.
Yes.
This person will get more compassion.
Yes.
This person will get more ridicule in this country.
Sad.
Yes.
Sad. Think about that one. What message are you
sending?
sending?
So if I'm sitting here watching, I'm like, all right, I can either get choked by a police officer and get ridiculed for anything, for jaywalking, or I could shoot some kids, and then my story gets to be heard. And most people do crazy stuff just to get.
Okay. And
listened
guess
to.
what happened with this? This is a trans person, right?
Does it matter?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Because listen to exactly what he's saying. That community comes out and says, wait, she's the victim. Because bullied their whole life. They go through this. They challenge those children. Sorry, she's the victim.
Well, she might be a victim, of course, but her choice and her execution of her victimhood is just so far off because those kids have nothing to do with. If anything, that person should go back.
That's exactly
and
what
take care
we're
of the
talking
people
about.
that messed with her and kill them. If that's your method.
Only certain people get to do that. Because if I punch the kid who called me the N-word in school, I'm the angry one.
And the one that gets suspended.
And the one that gets, if Billy calls me the N-word, I'm the one who gets suspended if I punch Billy. Nothing gets done for Billy for saying such hurtful things, and he can do the fake apology, and I got to be cool with that. However, if she got bullied, he would, not being funny, but like
right.
gets bullied, and she shoots a school or a different school that has nothing to do with the kids who bullied her, then it's, hey, she heard words. Well, y'all just told me to shut up. When I said these words are hurtful.
Sticks and stones.
Sticks and stones.
You're accountable for your actions no matter what.
I'm with you.
How you choose your actions and what you choose to do with your anger.
That's me and you talking about what the world is going to say to me versus her is two different things. Right. I'm told those words don't hurt. She's told it's okay. You were picked on. It's fine that you shot us.
Well, and that's a big problem that we have in the world. So many things that are concerning that people should get fired up about and worry about. They don't give a shit. They just want to be like keyboard warriors and stir up shit that really don't mean jack shit, right? And don't cause that big a problem in the world.
And that's what Bree is saying, and that's why I say this is a very, that's why I say taking the mental is an easy out, right? It's an excuse, and what she says is I think it's more mental instability and upbringing could trigger the reaction, but you can come from a quote unquote perfect home and still not be mentally sound. You could know better, but still not do better. She's absolutely right. And that's what I mean. It's just sometimes it's too easy to go, yeah, we've got to look at this. No, I think we have to stop looking at the perpetrator.
Right.
In this situation is what I'm saying. And we have to look at us as a society and say, this is wrong. And yes, what happened? Everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. And if I can stand on my 2 feet and take one for the team to help out transgender issues and people, that I'm going to be that martyr. Right. And there's still something, again, I've got a lot of friends who are veterans and that have seen and done things that I couldn't even comprehend. Okay. And I can't wrap my brain around that. I personally can't. And they're not right. And they will tell you, well, I deal with it. I've got PTSD. I see therapists. They're not right. We had Matthias Carter on here, author of a great book on how to talk to your kid about PTSD. And Matthias is like, I didn't think there was an issue. That when the therapist goes, how do you sleep at night? He goes, like everybody else, fully clothed on top of my blankets. Because in the army, in the war that he had seen, you had to be ready to go.
Right. That's what's normal for him.
Right. And that's not.
Yeah. But that's what's normal for him.
So, but understand that. What I'm saying is we have to look at ourselves as a society and not go, oh, well, this is a one-off. It's no longer a one-off, people. Not when it's happening every other day. Right. And we could say the same thing about color of skin. It's not a one-off, people. It's not an area in the country. It's not. We have to start looking at ourselves as a society and saying something's wrong. Right. Something's terribly wrong here in America. And I'm just and for our world listeners, I'm speaking here in America because I've never been outside of America, so I can't tell you.
There is something huge. There is something hugely wrong here for this to even be something that's even close to acceptable, right? And people be like, "Oh, it happened," you know. To have something like that be acceptable, just like we talked earlier, to have you being just nonchalant, like I called it earlier, of a guy running through your neighborhood with a gun, that's not acceptable. That's wrong. That's just. Even the guy if he was running through with the baseball bat, there's an intent.
Again, no matter what you say, it doesn't bother me, and it never will. Why? Because nothing happened. Big deal.
Nothing happened.
He could have been 4 blocks away from my house. I don't know. It's my neighborhood, and so again, it was at 4 a.m.
But that guy doing that, is that also a not a precursor, but is that a sign saying, oh, wow, this guy's got the capability to do something even worse, like shooting up a school or something like that? He's already done.
I don't see it, but that's where in my mind, again, I practice mindfulness. I'm here now. This is now.
Which is
I can't think 3 weeks in the future, is this guy going to go shoot somebody? Because then I'll hide in my basement and never do anything.
Right. I agree.
Right. That's anxiety.
So for context, someone was shooting in the neighborhood in McHenry at 4 a.m.
4 a.m. Some guy was supposedly running through his neighborhood shooting at the cops. And when
Yeah,
I asked him,
today.
it didn't. He
This
just
morning.
nonchalantly said, kind of like, "Hey, bro, I went out this morning and got breakfast."
Yeah,
Right?
there was
Not-
a show.
That's what we're talking about.
There's a
That's what's
shelter.
right.
There's
That's
a shelter
what
and
bothers
stay.
me. There was no emotion. There was no holy shit.
Right? The police said, "Hey, nobody leave." I didn't know.
Right,
I
they were
didn't.
sheltered at-
I
they were
didn't get
supposed to
that
shelter in
text.
place.
I'm moving on with my day.
So there's a dude in McHenry shooting at police officers.
Yeah.
4 a.m.
Not Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago.
McHenry.
Like literally right
Good old
through the-
Whiteville.
right through. Yeah, see, I told you, right through the cornfield over here. And to him, it was just kind of like, whatever. Matter of fact, I couldn't control it. It doesn't bother me. Why him having a gun?
You're missing what I'm saying. You're missing.
All right, go ahead and throw it at me again.
There's a dude in McHenry
Yeah,
shooting at police officers.
Yeah.
And there's a white man unbothered.
right.
There's a dude in Chicago shooting at police officers, and I've seen McHenry very upset because all of y'all have a blue uncle.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well, that's why I was
And
I was
up in arms
miffed.
and getting the type.
That's why I was so miffed, because he was just basically like emotionless. Like, it happened.
No,
It ain't
Daniel.
no big deal.
Was it
You know-
reported? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I just know that people
how,
were unbothered when it was.
if you said something like that, you saw how you reacted. I'm like, that's how I expected him to react. He's just like, whatever. I'm like, holy Christ, are we getting to that point where we're so desensitized that
Stop with the desensitized.
okay, that we're getting to that point, right? That we're getting to that point where it's a matter of fact.
Yeah,
It's an excuse.
It was reported. If you get Nixel,
but it's not
it was
as
reported.
bad because it's McHenry. But if it was,
Why is it not as bad? It's still a guy, right?
No, it's not. I'm just telling you what
Right.
they're saying. It's not
Right.
as bad because it's in McHenry that we can shoot. But if it was Chicago,
Chicago's expected. That's what I was talking about with Drew. Or it's not expected. I'll take
It's
that
the
word.
norm, and
It's right. It's not unnormal, right? It happens a lot more down there. It's
Does it?
something? Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I lived in Chicago for a number of years. The amount of gunshots that I would hear on a weekly basis is crazy, especially if you go to the South Side. That's even during the daytime. I mean, you'll hear it from like 9 o'clock at night until 4 or 5 in the morning, and then everyone goes to sleep. So the best time to be in those shitty areas is first thing in the morning.
Well,
because they're
you
mostly
calling
sleeping.
somebody's home a shitty area, bro? That's
All right,
their
more-
home.
All right, I'm calling somebody's an unsafe area or less safe area.
To who? That's what they
To me, as a white boy walking through the South Side Chicago in the middle of the night is not a good thing to do. I'm putting myself at risk, and I know that. That's my choice.
Have you done it?
Yes.
Did you get shot?
No. Thank
Okay,
God.
so
Thank God.
so not so bad then.
Still scary as hell, dude. I walked to Cabrini Green years ago, not even realizing how bad it was.
so if
You
I
know?
had to choose watching Cabrini Green or McHenry at night,
I'm going through McHenry all day long.
No,
only
no,
because-
he said him.
Oh,
it's the same fear.
well,
So look, we had a LGMC event.
Yep.
Leadership of Greater McHenry County. Great people.
Yep.
And there's a African American gentleman who owns a painting place in Crystal Lake.
Yep.
And we were going to go to DC Cobb's
yeah.
on McHenry on Green Street.
Yeah.
And he goes where we're walking up. We got to get out here before the sun goes down, right? Bro, I don't go here. I don't go to McHenry at night. We're with great
This
people.
is a guy that owns a
great people,
Yep.
leaders,
Entrepreneur,
people are in
successful.
ties, slacks, dress shoes. And as we're walking up to that type of event, he's already like, when we're out on that balcony part of the outside,
Yeah.
top. Yeah.
he's like, the sun's going down. You ready to get up out of here?
See, that's
Same
that's
thing.
bothersome to me.
Same.
That person that's running a business and business owner here in this community, what prompted him to think that being in McHenry after dark is a dangerous spot? for
Same thing
black
that
men?
the same thing that
Life.
prompted you to think that the South Side was.
Experience.
Right. So my experience in Chicago is what puts my thought process in motion. So my question was, did he experience something? Is there something
Obviously.
right? Is there something
Yeah.
happening in McHenry that I
Did
didn't
you
know?
did you
him
experience
in.
anybody shooting at you?
Not
But yeah, you were
directly.
scared of it.
Right. But I'm
I was,
saying-
yeah.
You understand what I'm
I was
saying?
very
He's saying is-
knowledgeable.
he's
I
saying
was
is
knowledgeable
no
and
one-
weary of that.
It was-
There were no
yeah.
There were no shots fired at you in Chicago, but if I go to a McHenry bar, I would get verbally shots fired.
Yeah.
at
So
me.
Dan says it.
Let me know, hey, I don't belong here.
So Dan says it's not expected for us to shoot at police officers. It's expected for us to shoot at each other. To be honest, me and Phil would get shot before a white person would in Cabrini.
I agree.
Yep. They'd view me and Phil as an enemy, and they'd fear you wouldn't even try to rob
They
you.
think you're a police officer.
Right. I was going to say so. Right,
So
but
you're
but
saying-
but for me as a kid, right, or as a person walking through that, my perception
It's a
and
story.
how I'm viewing
It's
is
the stories
viewing
you were
it.
told. It's
It
how
is.
you were programmed.
Exactly, because I was told, holy shit, don't walk through it. As a white boy, you're crazy for walking for Cabrini Green. But his reasoning is absolutely right. Wait, a white boy walking through Cabrini Green, something's up here.
Right, he's off.
A black kid walking through Cabrini Green in the middle of the night, he's trying to bust in on my territory. I'm just going to bust a cap in his ass. But for me, and the way I was brought up, and the narrative that I was taught was, stay the fuck away because you're going to get taken out. But I didn't necessarily believe that.
That's why
Hence
you were
the reason I was
programmed.
walking through.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I was not trying to play to that narrative.
Hey,
I was playing
listen.
to myself.
Listen, you. So I rest. Listen. I put everything I have in God's hands. So God's in control. So why do I get worked up about somebody running through my neighborhood with a gun? God's will be done, right? And if it's my time, it doesn't matter. Like
It's
I
not-
said,
you can't change it, but your reaction to what happened,
why?
you can.
Why that would mean I would be questioning God.
So, but why, if God's in control of everything, why is God having a guy that's got mental issues? I'm assuming,
That's
right?
not God.
He's
You
got-
can't
That's
put-
not-
You can't put God on human will. That's,
Right.
that's-
So, but you put, well, you just said you put all your faith in
Yep.
God, right? In
Yep.
your life, right?
But God's not making us do it.
So you're making all those choices based on what you believe and how you were raised,
My
right?
programming.
You're programming. Same with this guy deciding that it's okay for
Mhm.
him to run through town and shoot at people.
And what happened to my family for this whole
Nothing
incident?
nothing in this situation.
Sure.
But did it in the back of But did it also in the back of your kids' heads? Not necessarily yours, but
I don't
what
know.
kind
My
of thought
kids.
pro-
I was
right.
up out the door before my kids woke.
right. But I mean, what will that
Right.
do? How will that change
So-
your kids' perception of?
So two things. One, so you've been programmed with something that hasn't happened to you yet, right? No robbing, no shooting in Chicago towards you. But when people tell you, no, this has happened multiple times in this area, it's hard to believe. But I'm telling you, like, it's the same type of fear in those areas. That was just the one part I wanted to close on that. Two, we skipped over the school part. So we'll go right back to that.
Yeah.
That if Woodstock had metal detectors and armed officers, you would say it would program them for prison, blah, blah, blah.
I say it at any school.
But we were talking
Yep.
about like the
Yep.
American consensus of like, oh my
Correct.
God, no, it's going to program much. But if that's the everyday reality for kids who are in the inner city, why is that bad programming for the suburbs, but another day in Chicago,
I
or
understand.
Memphis, or wherever else? That's a double standard. But now here, let's take it a step further. Let's say they did it. Let's say it was like, okay, we're going to put the same metal detectors, the same armed
Mhm.
guards for our children, the same amount of guard dogs. But now we discover there's actually more drugs found in the suburban schools than there are in the inner city schools.
Which is true.
Now we got to make just as many arrests in the suburbs as we do in the city schools. Now those numbers for people who are arrested start to tilt. And we're finding that we are arresting suburban kids at an alarming rate for these drug possessions. Was it
But
really?
that's not in the news.
What? We've had shows about who
Mhm.
runs the media.
That's right.
Right.
So that,
And I'll agree with you all day long on that one, but it's what they're trying to push down our throats as a narrative, right?
but that
Versus angry versus mental.
Scared
Right?
of Capri
What makes
Green
it
versus-
skin color should not matter is how they describe the person.
But you
mental
just
or
but
angry.
you just got upset when an African American said, "We got to get out of McHenry by sundown."
I didn't get upset. I was actually kind of more surprised,
You
right?
understand what I'm saying?
Right, and I'm not upset, but I'm surprised because I have not been taught or programmed what he has seen. But if I'm not saying it's not there, because there's a lot of shit that happens in this town that we don't know, especially when I talk to some of my police officer friends, it blows me away.
Right.
Like just yesterday, like literally SWAT team was across from my apartment, right? 5 or 6 guys, guy with a freaking this big shield that they carry,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm going, holy shit, I saw it. I know it's there, but I never seen it. So it brought it closer to home and it made me think about it. And then you tell me about this guy and you're just like, whatever. That freaks me out.
See, the
that
SWAT
pisses me off.
See, but the SWAT team too. Whatever. I got no control over that.
You
And
don't. But
I
you,
would never have known had you not brought it up. So whatever.
Right.
Why get wired? Why get wired up about it? That's my.
I'm wired up about it for a second, and the lack of, I guess I don't want to say the lack of seriousness or the lack of concern, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that fire you up more, right? Like, for instance, to keep your soundboard wires being switched
You're gonna
up.
get through this.
I know, but
you're
I'm
going to
just
work
saying,
through this.
I do because to me, that sucks, and that could cause a problem. But in the big scheme of life, that's trivial and bullshit. It's
That's
not
my
gonna kill
livelihood.
it's
That's
not,
my
but it's not
livelihood,
gonna kill
baby.
you. You're not going to lose your life. You might lose subscribers. You might lose a show. You might lose
sponsors.
income.
Yeah,
right.
That's my livelihood.
But you can.
I didn't even lose sleep with the guy running around my neighborhood.
You can rebound from that. You can't rebound from somebody shooting and killing you.
As
You're done. That's final. That's a final thing.
Yeah. So I'm done. I mean, look.
I always
right up there.
myself.
Right up there. Rancher Ron, Uncle Pete. You know how much Pete worries about this now?
That.
You know how much Pete worries about this place now? He doesn't. He's dead.
Well, you don't know that.
Yeah, he's dead.
I know he is dead, but is he dead? I mean, his physical
body's
not here.
Yes, he's dead.
But his soul and his spirit lives on, so he might be
dead.
worried about it. You don't know.
He's dead.
He could be sitting over there watching us, controlling things.
What are you?
He's
you watch too many
controlling the game.
I would love to hear
He's
Pete's like
playing
HR
the game.
Right?
Oh my God, you guys can't say that.
Right?
You kidding me?
Listen,
oh yeah, he had a heyday with me and how I run my
And here's
shit.
the problem. Here's the problem. When you dead, you dead. Your brain stops. It's like a watch that stops running. It don't keep time no more.
Okay, so but you are God-fearing, believing person. So they say that your body is just a vessel, right?
Okay.
So when you die, your spirit, your soul remains on. Some people believe that you actually get reincarnated. Right. I'm saying exactly. You don't know.
Right. So
you don't know.
Well,
Pete
so
could
I'm
honestly be up
it.
here paying attention.
I don't
know what happens. They say when you die and you go to heaven, that's perfect.
You did.
Right? If you're going to heaven, that's what everyone's trying to get to. That's why they're following the rules of the church.
Maybe
right?
this is
I want to go to heaven. Well,
maybe this is
heaven. Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think this could
you're saying
could be
people
your
want to
heaven
go to
or
heaven.
hell. No, this could be your heaven or hell,
There's no
depending on
such
what you
place as
decide.
The
Depending
show,
on what you
the
decide
show
how
is
you want to
turning
live your
into
life.
hell right now. Right.
No, it's a great show.
Right.
It's opening people's thought process.
So here's what I'm saying is that until we actually do something and start programming children and people to say, it's one thing if you're at war, it's another thing if you walk in to defenseless, helpless babies and start shooting them.
Oh, there's no.
You understand what I'm saying?
Doubt.
Listen, the other thing is we as human beings have to start taking time for each other. We have to start listening to one another, right? And listening to hear what somebody's saying rather than listening to respond to what somebody's saying. And if you think I'm not being truthful, just watch any social media. Social media, the algorithm is respond. Oh, you're mad at this. This is good. This is conversation.
Right,
this is what we want.
Right. Keep you focused on the shit so they can do other stuff.
So there are, and we have to start paying attention to what's happening now, not what's happening 10 minutes from now, not what happened 10 minutes ago. We have to focus on being present right now. Zen, they'll call it, right? Being mindfulness. And if you understand that, you'll go, why am I starting to get mad? Let's take a look at that, right? I'm not a psychologist. The mind is wicked, right? It's an incredible thing that people have been trying to unpack for years and years and years and years, right? Ever since the world's been around. I don't know the answer, but I also think it's too easy to go mental, angry.
Well, people always have to have a description to everything, right? They have to label it.
Right.
And it could be a little bit of both, to be honest with you. You don't know. I mean, life experiences, your mental capacity, your programming. I mean, there's so many different things involved in it. And then sometimes people just want to compartmentalize things to make it easy to explain. That's not the way it is. It's not that easy.
When I was a kid, we practiced. Now listen to this, people. Here's what we practiced. Tornado drill. What did you do? You grabbed your math book and you placed it over your neck. You got in the hall, right? Am I right? Bent over. You opened that and placed it over. They thought
they didn't do that with me. They just put your hands, cup your hands.
They thought it'd be like a hard hat when shit started falling through the roof.
That's really important, right?
Right. We practice fire drills.
We live and we learn.
Okay. Now we're trying to create safe rooms inside of classrooms. My kid, my grandkid, your grandkid. I don't have grandkids yet. I'm just saying it should not be afraid to go get an education. Yeah, right.
Right.
Should not be fearful of.
You would.
Oh
Right.
shit.
I mean, the whole idea for me is to want your kids to want to go to school, to want to learn. Yeah, granted, they're going to run into bullies and stuff like that's going to be negative, but you want them to want to go there. It should be a safe space for them.
Because I will tell you this, just because of human nature. All of a sudden, I've got Officer Bob, and he's got himself a taser and a pistol, and he's standing next to the metal detector as you're coming and going. I don't like you.
That was my next point.
I don't like you, Phil.
Because then you're gonna have an officer shoot a child.
Yep. Oh, I thought he was reaching in that backpack for something.
Well, it's
his hood was up. He was angry.
Well, it's creating.
I had an incident earlier.
Well, it's creating an opportunity. Right, because of programming. That's wrong on so many levels as well.
But what happens in that situation, though?
Right. Well, the only person that's involved in that situation controls that situation and controls that narrative based on their programming and what they were taught to handle the situation. Right. The trying to figure out and to train people or to reprogram people that's it's their choice. Every situation. Listen, the only thing you can control is you and what you do. You control nothing else.
And guess who walks? Officer Bob just killed another baby.
That's a tragedy in itself. And how do we fix it? Right? How do we fix that?
It happens in prisons all the time.
How do we fix that? I don't know. It starts with you. It starts with me.
Jen.
They don't want to talk about that.
Anyway, Jen, you have to analyze it and at least try to figure out the underlying issue, not using it as an excuse. Yeah, I agree with you.
But look at what Daniel said above that.
Yeah, only certain. I flashed that up there. Only certain people get those labels. That's the problem. Yeah.
Say that again.
Because we're talking about how like they're this or that and this or that, but it's like the mental, angry, mental.
Right.
So although they're categorizing, it's not honest categorizing.
Right.
Well, no, it's a word choice. Really, angry is also mental. Right, but they're trying to justify it, saying it's poor old me, white boy, because I'm mental.
Right.
It's poor old
I'm programmed
black guy because he's angry because he was pushed aside and not given the fair choices, which is bullshit. They're just trying to. I mean, a lot of times for me, I feel like it's trying to get people up in arms, right? It does work, and a lot of that will come down to me, at least in my mind. To understand people, I'm talking about what happens in my world. It comes down to ignorance, right?
See, but and
allowing someone to run your life and to run your narrative, and not really, in my world, question everything, right? Like question it. Why would they say that? Why would they do that? What is their end goal? What are they trying to teach me? Not teach me? Stop me from doing? Right? It's not just as simple as A plus B. Or 1 + 1 = 2. There is a lot more involved in that, at least to me, involved in that situation and that whole thought process to why something is done or not done. It's not everyone today. They're trying to make everything cut and dry. There's nothing cut and dry. You can try to argue that it's just cut and dry. It's basic and it's simple, but it's not. There's so many underlying factors, and there's so many. But you have, and here's, it's so hypocritical. Why is it hypocritical? Because question everything. And then when I tell you it doesn't bother me, it has nothing to do with if it bothers you or not. But you can't wrap your head around. I'm like, listen, I don't care if it's a guy, a girl, a werewolf, whatever, running through my backyard. It is what it is.
Werewolf would be on set.
And you said, yeah, but when a gun is thrown in there, it changes the whole scenario. And the fact of the matter is, it didn't change any of the scenario. But it is what it is. You can't change it. You can't control it. For me, the only reason that like I said, the only reason for me being that way was it was almost like it's become acceptable. Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. I can't change it. But it's scary to be the fact that we're saying it is what it is. I can't change it. It's like, holy shit. As a kid, if you would have said that. So let me ask you a question. Yeah. How scared were you a minute ago when Phil says we got to get out of McHenry by sundown? How scared were you? I don't think scared would be the adjective to describe it. I was actually disappointed more than anything else. I was actually flabbergasted. I'm like, really? Like, holy shit.
because I don't have the experiences that this guy had with
Okay.
Phil
You
to
did-
be
you
able to
haven't-
have that. Right.
You
but you
haven't
don't have
had
that
the experience
reaction.
of somebody running through your neighborhood with a gun either.
No, but it scares me because I know it scares me and it bothers me because it's not a typical thing. It's not an area in which I want to live in.
All right, so stop right there. It's not a typical thing, yet it didn't scare you when the black person said, "I got to get out of town by sundown." So that means it's
There was no,
typical.
it doesn't scare me on that one. It bothers me because it shouldn't be that way. It scares me that a guy has a gun can happen. The fact that he's scared to be in town
because
after
there's
dark.
white people with guns
Right.
that
Well,
chase them out.
There's black people with guns too.
Not in McHenry.
But I'm not right. But I'm not. I didn't live through his situation to be that.
But you didn't live through mine.
No, but I was actually brought privy to it through conversation that it happened. Right. So him responding that way is how he was programmed and what he knows because that happened. He was experiencing something. You didn't experience it. You were just told it.
But it didn't.
But it was very matter of fact to you, like, yeah, whatever.
Because when the word gun came into my story, you said that changed the whole scenario. Now, why does he have to get out of town? It's not, there's no curfew, but there's obviously guns involved or bad things involved that any human being would say, because I'm black, I got to scat, right? I got to get. And you were like, well, that's concerning. Yet it was scary when a gun was running around my neighborhood.
I said I was disappointed.
I was
disappointed because for something like that to happen.
I can be disappointed.
I'm going to say in my town.
I can be disappointed in my grade on a test. I'm not scared of it.
I don't want anybody to feel that way around my town. I want people to feel safe, and that's what this whole thing is about: feeling safe and feeling.
So my question is, why didn't you get as emotional over being a sundown town as you did a guy running through a neighborhood with a gun shooting at police, a white fella? I'm guessing is a white fella. That's a better percentage of the people here.
One, it was how it was told, how it was presented to me, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that I have no prior experience with something of the nature that he's talking about. I don't have direct experience with someone running through my neighborhood with a gun, but I know that generally doesn't end in a good situation when someone's running away from police with a gun. This gentleman perceiving that staying in McHenry after dark, he's going to get shot.
Just harassed.
Or harassed. Oh, so I didn't hear harassed. Okay.
Well, why would you get out of town?
You have a higher chance of either getting pulled over, looking suspicious, or the local townspeople with alcohol in their system saying something to you that could lead into a conflict.
Right.
So that's why,
that will be your fault.
Right. The opportunity is greater. You're feeling after dark. So, for a black person to be harassed and cause problems.
Broken or whatever.
The biker bar.
Yeah. So I was gonna there's a house across the street, and when I was looking to get my spot, the owner goes, "Look, I'm gonna be honest with you.
You don't want to be there anyway. Even as a white boy, you don't want to be there."
But he said, "You won't make it here. There's bikers with Confederate flags and all that. I wouldn't be able to sleep knowing I sold you this house, knowing that people with that would walk through your front yard going back to their cars. You wouldn't make it."
It's sad to say, but it's horrible to actually hear him say that. But it's a good thing in a way.
Scary.
It's scary. It's scary as hell.
Carrie.
Oh, Carrie. Carrie. No, I know what you're talking about. It's right there on that corner. I mean,
but most people will be like, "Oh, Carrie, great town to live."
Right. Great town to live, but not in this part of it. Right. Chicago. Not really a bad place to live. Certain spots that you want to have nothing to go with, right?
Yeah.
And you know that, so you avoid that situation. That's your control.
Right.
Your control is not to live there. You can't control the idiots with the Confederate flags that are going to walk through your house and give you shit, but you can control where you live. So that guy gave you the information. You questioned what his information was and why he gave that to you, and you made a decision. But you did. You looked at what he gave you and you evaluated that information and said, yeah, you're probably right, even though that's bullshit because I really wanted that house. I'm going to look at the bigger picture and go, it's probably not worth that fight and that hassle, right?
But just how
you moved down the street.
Just how you would look at, I'm not living on this west side or this part of the south side.
Right.
So here's the deal. Let's talk about this. I don't know if the guy running through my neighborhood was white, black, blue, whatever. I don't know, right? It was 4 a.m.
It really doesn't matter.
I sleep.
It was a guy running.
Here, though, listen to what Daniel's saying. He shot at one of the blue boys, though. Doesn't that mean death? I mean,
What do you mean death?
where's
they
the
can
out-
return fire?
Where's the outrage?
They should. I mean, if he was
He's
literally
alive?
shooting at him, they should have returned
Question mark.
fire.
He's not dead? Question mark. He's not a
Thug?
thug?
Question mark.
Question mark.
Well, what? Can you call a white person a thug? I mean, is that a typical, right?
I love you, Scott.
Right? I mean,
layup.
and
Okay.
and that's what sucks because that's our programming. Because the first thing that a lot of people will think of when you say
All right,
thug,
let
it's
him
a
go.
gangbanger.
Let him go. Let him go.
But that's the whole contradiction, because if I say, man, if Daniel shot somebody, the thug shoots officers. If a white kid shoots at officers, can a white person? But what I would say is, why are y'all calling Daniel a thug? He's a good person. Thug can be anything, Phil. It's not about color.
Mm-hmm.
But you just said, can a white person
The
even be a
description of the legal description of what a thug is has nothing to do with color.
Legal description.
Well, no, but I mean the diction. I don't mean the legal description, but what
Your
the
Honor.
diction- right? Yeah,
The two youths.
the youths. But what the dictionary would say a thug is has nothing to do with color,
But you just
right?
said,
But
can a white
people
person
automatically assume thug. What's the first thing that comes into your
Program.
head because of how we've been
be a
programmed?
thug? Which
Right.
is why certain officers have pictures
Right.
and hoodies.
But what I don't understand is if he really
Listen.
if he really shot at him, right? So what
Listen.
what the world would
Here's-
say is if he was a black man, they would have shot back. But because he's a white man, they didn't shoot
The
back.
real question is, and you want to talk about programming?
I don't know how many shots. got
You want to talk about programming? How do we get from Tupac to the music that's today? Let's just be honest.
what people listen to and what
Just
people
it's
accept.
horrible, right? This mumble
A lot of
rap
it.
is horrible. Anyway,
Mumble rap.
it's terrible. Anyway, so that's and there's a great point, right? Here in McHenry, if that's a man of color ripping through your yard,
And that's why I said
he's eating lead.
That's why I said everybody had a blue
Right.
uncle.
Daniel's right on with that, right?
I agree 100%. If that was
All right,
if that
now-
was a man of color, as you put it,
Now, what
they
if
probably would have popped back at him. Did
Okay.
they shoot back at him?
So this
Is he a
didn't-
white
this
boy? Is he
didn't
Spanish?
happen.
What is he?
this didn't happen, but it's a hypothetical? Is when I actually I just want to ask you a question. When
Hear
I
him.
when I brought it up this morning, I said, "Yeah, some dude run through my backyard with a gun, police chasing police," and you were like, "Oh, come on, you're just so nonchalant about it." What image of that? What image of that man was in your head? White, black, Mexican?
Color didn't come into it.
Okay,
Color,
interesting.
color did not come
Because
into it.
because we're here in McHenry.
No, because it doesn't matter to
It's
me.
just the way you're
Right.
programmed.
But
But if I
yes
was,
and no,
if,
but for
but if I
me-
was like this,
But-
man, I stayed down at I stayed down at the Holiday Inn Express on the South Side, and there was a bunch of police chasing a
Right.
dude through the
I mean-
through the parking lot,
Right.
And
Right.
and you're like, man, you didn't get too excited
Well,
about that. What color would be in your
right.
mind? Then?
So here, let me tell you exactly.
So will you be
You said
surprised-
at McHenry. Initially, my 1st thought would be it's probably a white boy,
there you go.
right? Here in McHenry. My initial thought, being in Chicago, it's probably going to be a
Okay,
black
so
man,
now-
right?
So now, what?
Especially since you said
would
South
you
Side.
would you have acted? And this is hypothetical, and it's hard for you to even ask this. Would you have acted differently if I was like, listen, man, some brother was running through a backyard, big black dude waving a gun, shooting at the police?
Well, if you said it that way, it definitely would. I would have looked at it initially a little bit differently. Going, first off,
What's he doing in our town?
right,
4 a.m.
No. I was just going to say most people, right? Most people are going to be like, yeah, most people, not me, but most people are going to be
Tamir
like,
Rice
what's
was
this guy
12.
doing running through my town? He belongs someplace else, which is bullshit. That everybody has every right to live in this town. And that's unfortunate because the programming is going to say that person does not belong in my town, let alone running through my yard with a gun. But if they said, 15-year-old white boy running around with a gun that's mentally ill,
Right. But hear what you're saying, though.
it still changes. It still changes the narrative.
Hear what you're saying, though. How could he be in a town he doesn't belong in if there's nothing to fear in that town?
But I'm saying this is not how I think. This is what I think a lot of people are coming. Right. He belongs. Everybody belongs in this town to me.
But,
Right.
like,
But the majority of people think right away.
I'm not saying like you specifically. I'm saying like
Right.
hearing the story. There's a big black dude at 4 a.m. in McHenry. What the hell is he doing here? Myself included.
Right.
Yeah. What are you doing to me?
The GPS got way off.
Sundown's coming soon. You better hit the car.
I
Hit
get
the road.
here at 8:45. Make sun. The sun is fully
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Right. I make sure I'm in and out before the darkness happens.
What he's saying is Tamir was 12.
Yeah,
He got
Tamir
shot.
Rice. Yep.
Going in his backpack. But But there's a dude in McHenry that can point, shoot at cops. He's arrested. He's not even arrested. I understand.
Well, they caught him.
They caught him. Okay,
they,
cool.
they caught him. So
Alive.
I guess. Yeah. I'm
So
guessing.
he was apprehended.
He was
gunned
apprehended,
down.
right. Shooting at people. Yeah.
Ah.
At cops. I got guns pulled on me for less, way less by the boys in blue. Right now, here's what I will say, and I say this all of the time on this show. I want you to understand. I appreciate the officers of the law. It's a job I would not want to do. It's a job that I would never do. I don't appreciate bad officers of the law, whether you're an attorney, a judge, or a cop.
Right.
I understand what I'm saying all the way up, right?
Right. There's always a bad bunch.
And I'm not naive enough to think that the system ain't broken paid for.
Oh, it's corrupt.
Right? It doesn't matter where you're at, right? There's no more Barney and we talked about that, right? There's no more Barney and Andy in the world. No. It's you
calm, cool, understanding, reasonable
right
people.
Reasoning people, right? And the bottom line is that's sad, and that's because we've been programmed. So these senseless murders of children are going to continue until we start reprogramming. And reprogramming doesn't mean turning the schools into a prison.
Right.
That's not reprogramming.
Right.
No,
that's reacting.
You reprogram with love, understanding, time. What you have to, the thing that you can give the most to a kid is time
and love.
Right. And the bottom line is, I don't care what you are. I don't care who you are. I care about you. I want to get to know you. We all have demons. We all have weird voices in our head. We all have things that push us in different ways. But here's the issue. I'm coaching an 8th grade girls team. They're going to be freshmen next year. And I look at these girls the other day, and they're looking at me, and I go, listen, they were struggling with a couple of drills, and I'm trying to teach new muscles, and they're getting frustrated. So I said, stop. I said, listen to what I'm about to say and repeat it after me. I'm a strong, beautiful woman. They looked at me. I go, say it with me. I'm a strong, beautiful woman. These kids don't get people to tell them that.
Right.
You have to, and then we're doing it, and a couple of the girls aren't saying it. And I looked at them. I said, say it.
Right. It's scary for them.
Right. You're a strong, beautiful woman. Right. So now I say it to them all the time. I'll pull some aside sometime. Right. Because I want these young ladies to know that they matter.
Right.
That somebody sees them as a strong, beautiful woman. And I told them, guess what? Your life sucks because you're in a man's world. It's still a man's world. You got to battle. Right now, I've got one African American on the team. I got to pull her aside and say a whole different thing. Right. Like, not only are you a woman, you're an African American woman.
Right.
Guess what? That's a higher mountain. But you got to understand, you're strong. You're beautiful. Right. You can do this, and don't let anybody tell you different.
Well,
right?
And
that's a hard thing to do, right. and that's what I mean. You have to be able to give time to kids.
Right. Well, and what you're also describing, though, too, and see, one of the things that I feel society fails, and I did for many years too, is in how we assess or how we deal with issues, right? So much of this stuff is reactive, right? They're reacting to what this guy did, right? The shooting, or the girl did, right? Instead of being proactive. Oh, it's this, that, and the other. Well, being proactive, right? So like through mental health,
right?
Teaching in school. We don't have any of that in school. When do you know any schools that teach kids about their brains and about how their brain really works, right? The fact that
nobody knows.
We do, we have an idea, right? So being proactive teaching, and that, you have 40 to 60,000 different thoughts a day. Right. 99% of them are crazy. You have to be able to weed through them, but these kids don't know. So these kids that are causing these problems, right?
Yeah.
They're reacting. So we as a society are reacting to this problem instead of being proactive, going, you know what, this is happening more and more and more, and it's becoming more mainstream. What's the problem? Well, we need to be proactive in teaching them earlier in life, especially the narrative, that it shouldn't matter if it's a black person or white person doing the job. It's a problem. They did it. this is what we need to do to try to counteract it instead of reacting, going, this is what happened. Screw him. This is that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
Putting metal detectors in schools is a reaction, right? How about teaching those kids before they get to that point, putting them in a prison inside their school, teaching them that, no, this is not normal. This is unfortunately something I have to deal with. But this might be the reasons that these are happening is because they weren't nurtured. They didn't have a coach that gave a shit about them to make them actually care, right? To know that they are a good, loving person and that their thoughts matter and that they're going to have some crazy thoughts someday, and understand that everyone does it. Don't feel bad, because what happens a lot of times is these people that have all these bad thoughts, they spiral out of control because they don't have anybody in their corner telling them that you're typical normal. It's not uncommon, but they spiral. And what happens? They do that. Now they react to it. Oh, but because that person happened, now we've got to make everyone suffer for it by locking them into a school.
It's bad.
Proactive versus reactive. You can put that into every facet of your life. And if you can become proactive versus reactive in this world, it would change so quickly.
Listen,
asking that to happen is hard.
You know, and here's what I'll say. And thanks for hanging out for extra minutes with us. In these situations, seek first to understand, not to be understood, and don't get in arguments with people, because it's very emotional for a lot of people, right? I didn't have a kid there, but it's pretty emotional for me because I'm tired of it. These are kids. These are children. It's senseless. We aren't at war, right? I understand you're in Ukraine right now. You're going to be scared to go to school because they're targeting that, right? Again, just seek first to understand and listen and take time and be scared, just as scared if somebody is running through your yard with a gun or if somebody's saying, I got to get out of town by the time the sun goes down.
Right. So, and I'm
scary.
Really bad with interrupting, but
you're really good at it because you do it all the time.
No, but you say that we're not at war, and I'll disagree with you on that one, because in our minds, we are at war.
No,
you are, because there's always that decision between good and bad, right? Reaction, proaction.
That's not a war. That's not a war.
It's an inner battle. Would you not call it an inner battle? What is a battle? A battle is a war. You have an internal struggle. All right, let's call it even better. Let's say an internal struggle, right? You can use semantics. You can use different adjectives to describe what it is.
I think
but
some
you
people do.
I'm at war with myself all the time about what's right,
but
what's
not
wrong.
everybody. I don't think so. But I would disagree.
I don't think I'm much different than a lot of people. I'm just very outspoken. I will tell you how it is. I will tell you how, at least how it is for me and how I feel, because I want people to go, holy shit, I feel the same way. Or I don't. I think he's totally nuts. But it gives them the opportunity to go, all right, different perspective. Right. So we are at war every day with yourself in one way, shape, or form. You're struggling with something.
Oh, I'm not.
Bullshit. I'll disagree with you all day long.
That's fine.
You can put it into different terms, and I know you.
And I'll disagree with you all day long.
Lay down with how God is going to guide you and help you and discuss. But you do have internal. How about? Can I use internal turmoil? Is that a better description than a battle or a war?
No, and we're way over time, and that has nothing to do with building a bridge. So I would disagree. Right? Go ahead, Phil.
No, I'm just wrapping up for the day.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing there built. The bridge, the only bridge that could be built there for me is understanding that, it's about the perception thing, right? Because perception does become reality. But the reaction versus the being reactive versus proactive is something we can control.
Yes, that's why I say seek first to understand.
Right. And most people these days aren't seeking first to understand. They're seeking to answer.
They're seeking to be understood.
Right. Yeah. They're listening to you going, how am I going to respond to him? Right. Which is important to respond with what you feel and how you feel. But you have to make sure that I'm understanding exactly where you're coming from. And that's why I was drilling you earlier so hard on the gun thing. Right. Pause.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys actually letting me be on the show today.
No, I appreciate you.
This stuff, it pisses me off, but it gives me another reason, another day to come and fight a little bit more, because I don't want that. We talked to, I would love not necessarily a kumbaya, but a utopian society where people actually gave a shit about other people.
That'd make me throw up.
Kumbaya?
Yeah. Well, a utopian, that would just make me throw up.
But just humans, right? Like people being good humans, I don't want love, kumbaya.
Take away
you
a
know.
lot of my fun because I love to people watch because people are all messed
They're
up.
stupid. Yeah, they are.
That's right.
They are.
Right.
But that also what helps make people feel better about themselves.
Be like,
too,
oh
'cause they
look,
watch
there's
all the
somebody.
idiots
There's somebody skipping under the rainbow. Oh look, there's somebody skipping under the rainbow.
with a gun.
I couldn't do it. All right, listen, everybody. Appreciate you dropping by today. Spend some time with us. Absolutely love you. Remember, it's better to build a bridge than to blow it up. Even if it's
pretty fun.
even if it's confusing on the bridge, right?
Some bridges you do got to blow up, though. I mean, some are just not worth fighting for anymore. You
No,
got to
they
rebuild
all-
that shit.
They
Get
all
rid of
are.
the old bridge, build a new one that's better, faster, stronger.
No, build
Yep.
that bridge. Let's meet them.
Love
All
you
right.
guys.